listeners, I got food poisoning last night, so I'm just kind of gutting this one out.
He's being a baby. And the last time I told Jeff he was being a baby about food poisoning, I had it hit me about 2 hours later. So hope that doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
I will
When you
be
guys
joining
showed
you
up,
and knocking
I
on
was
some wood.
laying on the ground in the dark in my office.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, you walked by me and I was just like, he's not okay. And then you sat at the end of the table. I was like, he's really not okay.
He actually scared me because I go to turn on the light in our office and he's like, "Ugh." And I was like, whoa, why are you in here?
How
in
about
the
a
dark?"
warning?
Yeah.
Anyways,
The troll.
I listen. The reason why I couldn't miss this is because, dude, the history we have with you guys. I'm so like overjoyed, excited. It just couldn't happen to two people that have put in the work, put in the time, put in the energy, and created this ripple effect amongst all of their members. But I mean, we first started. You guys weren't even in fitness. What were you doing? I met you at Supplement Superstores in Overland Park.
Yeah.
And it was the first time ever meeting you guys. And I think, I believe I met Anthony first.
Yeah.
And then you brought in Kirsty, and you guys weren't even like dating yet, I don't think.
One of my friends was like going to Supplement Superstore because I wanted to get back on my health journey, and that was my first time going in. But we weren't together.
Maybe you did introduce me to.
I know.
Yeah, I did. You were like in your work attire, right? And I remember you got, I believe you got the 213.
Yes.
And then Anthony came in with you, and you guys were both working at the time at where? What was it called? It was like a place for former college athletes, right? Like a lot of former college athletes.
Northwestern Mutual.
Was it
no way that was
Mutual?
my first time at ST.
No.
Bro, it was. I swear.
Was it?
Yeah. It was like, and I was, dude, and here's the thing, like me and him were working the counter every day. Like we didn't have any other stores.
Yeah. That was 2017, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah. Maybe.
And you got the same thing. We also got you on post-workout stuff, some protein. But yeah, man. And then, talking to you guys, you're like, man, I think Kirsty, you eventually went fitness first, right? And just for our listeners, like you guys have so many so many things along the way, whether it be, becoming parents or, business partners that you no longer work with or jumping from one place to another. You guys just have had so many reasons along the way where you could have decided like, let's just go do the easy thing. And you guys just kept persevering and kept choosing that, like it'll eventually work out the way we exactly want it. And now that you get to curate your own space, like every single detail is 100% like to your, to exactly the way you want it, like the exact measurement, the exact color. It's just a beautiful, inspirational thing. And I'm just so excited for you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In a perfect location. I couldn't ask for a better location.
Yeah, truly.
And then, you're a wonderful landlord and, how helpful they've been. And so it's just, you guys are just very deserving, and so it's been exciting to see.
Thank you.
Let's talk through, how it got started though. Kirsty, you went fitness first. What was your first fitness job? And it was obviously like a big jump because you had kind of like you were in like the corporate world.
Yeah.
And it wasn't such a guarantee when you got into fitness, right?
Yeah. So I was just in the corporate world, honestly hating life, truly. It was a really toxic environment I was in too. And one of my friends at work that I was really close with, he was like, hey, there's a gym, because we talked about how it was just, we're like, we got to do something to like release all of this, like we need an outlet. So there was a gym not too far away, and he asked me, he was like, hey, if we're like together on a membership, you could say you're my girlfriend, then we can get this membership for a good price. We're not making like that much money then and stuff. So we went to this gym called Prairie Life, and Anthony was a trainer there, actually. So that's where I met him. And that's kind of how my love for fitness came back, because I danced my whole life. I've always been really active, taught some title boxing classes in college, did title boxing. But my love for fitness came back then, and especially whenever I met Anthony, because he got me into like the weight training and stuff like that. But after making a jump to a new job, another corporate job, I then decided to go full-time fitness after it was COVID. Actually, that made me do it. Yeah, it was COVID, and it was at Health House.
You're at Health House, right?
Yeah, that made me go full-time fitness.
R.I.P. Health House.
I know. It was a great place.
Right.
It was. We owe a lot to Health House.
Yeah.
Yeah. Health House actually.
That was your first full-time position as well for fitness?
So Prairie Life. So my first job was a personal trainer at Prairie Life Fitness. And
Prairie Life, for all of our listeners, is now then turned into the athletic club,
Yeah.
and then it
Yeah.
turned into Genesis.
Yeah.
And it was famous for having like an in-ground, indoor pool.
Mm-hmm.
It like had everything, all the amenities you could ever ask for, just like hadn't been remodeled in like 30 years.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
when it was in its prime, it was like
Had that
the
like
Lifetime.
chlorine hotel pool smell
Yeah.
right when you walk in.
Oh, it was so strong.
Yeah.
So strong. But yeah, so that was my first job. And honestly, like I owe a lot to Prairie Life as well. And really just the team of trainers that brought me on were just phenomenal. And I learned a lot from them. But yeah, so that's where we met. So I was personal trainer, and then it was tough. Like it was really tough. And my dad and all the others were like, why don't you just go get a job and you'll have insurance and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And they finally convinced me. And so I got out of personal training. Well, that's when that kind of Health House comes back into play. There was one morning, I'm still working out at Prairie Life. And Kirsty goes to Health House. She's like, I'm going to try this, group fitness. She's like, I need something. I need a little change. And we both come back to our apartment. That was, I think, like 680 square feet. I think is what it was. It was small.
Tiny.
And I'm there like getting my protein shake and making breakfast before I go off to work. And she comes in. She's like, honey, I just came back from Vegas. I go, what do you mean? Like, she's like, this is the most awesome place I've ever been. You have to try it. And so we both went, and
This is Health House.
this is Health House.
The vibes.
Yeah. It was
I remember it was
Vibes.
like it had the lights off. It
It was Vegas.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the screen was
music,
gigantic.
Yeah.
Tanya,
like-
the instructor,
Yeah.
like it was Vegas.
But their music, like most places when you go, like it has to be like PG music.
Yeah.
Oh, they didn't care. It was
I love that.
it was-
Whatever.
Yeah, it was
Some
whatever
ratchet-
whatever
some
the
good
instructor
ratchet
wanted to
music
play.
in
yeah.
there, yeah.
Whatever the instructor wanted to play, and it was awesome because when we were training, like Kirsty was killing it. Like she had the personality, she was upbeat, and like my thing was always personal training, which was like very kind of calm.
Yeah, more
Most
intimate,
people.
one-on-one.
Yeah, so that's what I was used to, and I never really came out of my shell. And then Tara, she was a manager, and like she was talking to everybody, but like when a teacher's talking to everybody, but they look directly at you.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was doing that and kind of grilling me, and I felt it. And so I had one more opportunity if I was going to make it or not. And her push at that moment literally sent me over the edge and became a different trainer from there on out.
Very cool.
And there's a really great lesson, I think, here too, because you guys, again, a lot of people, are in fitness are looking to own their own gym someday or own their own business someday. And we always try to tell our team that like there's a lot of value in being an intrapreneur where you're working for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You get to see the mistakes and you get to see the successes, and you're getting paid basically to go to school, right? And so when you guys were at Health House, I mean, you were running the show, but that didn't work out. Like Health House couldn't survive COVID. Isn't that what it was? Was
Yeah.
it COVID?
Yeah, and they also had moved to West Hollywood, I think.
Or
Before
like they went out their way to like try to start franchising it nationwide.
Yeah.
And that was like franchise location number 1, right?
Yeah, and it just they couldn't survive here, unfortunately.
Yeah. And it was awesome. And at that moment, like, when you're working for someone else and like you start getting really good at what you do, you start thinking of ways like, okay, how can we make this better?
Yeah.
And so that's when my mind started turning, and I was ready to leave the corporate, because I was still in the corporate world at this time. And I was ready to leave the corporate world, go full-time Health House and be like, hey, maybe I could do some sales for you, but maybe we could add this portion to what Health House is, kind of make it and help it grow. Well, then right when we were about to get into that, that's when it shut down. I was just like, oh man, like what are we gonna do?
What specifically, like knowing now what you guys know about business and fitness, what specifically do you think was the main reason from like an operational standpoint that Health House went out of business?
So it was always packed.
Yeah, I was about to say, I would see people a lot posting about it. It had that kind of, when somebody posted about it, it like drew you in because it
you had
looked
FOMO.
different
Dude,
than
it had the
everybody
it
else.
factor for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Dude. Like there was nothing like it. There
So
was
I
nothing
guess
else like it.
what do you guys think was like the thing, like what'd you take from there, that like I cannot, we need to avoid doing that in the future?
Yeah, I think, and again, it was such a great place, and everyone that worked there was wonderful, and the owners were wonderful, but I think they grew too fast. They tried to grow too fast. Instead of kind of just, I think they could have owned the Midwest with fitness, truly, because we don't have like the Barry's boot camps, the Soul Cycles really in the Midwest. There's like Chicago, maybe Minneapolis, but Health House could have like been running the surrounding states. Yeah. But they saw LA, like West Hollywood, and they had that chance to go out there. And then I think they kind of just forgot about Kansas City, even though Kansas City is where it started. And we were all like, we were devastated. I was devastated. I was crying.
She wasn't the same.
Yeah, I was like so devastated because I was like, this place has like changed my life because I was just in a job that was so soul sucking, and I found my passion. Like I found my purpose through this spot. And then it just closed all of a sudden. So we were like, what are we going to do? But I do think it was just trying to grow too fast. And I think like slow and steady always wins the race.
And also that seems like a wild change in demographic.
Wild.
When you have a business and it's working in a certain demographic, like for us, we understand that we're like a Midwest values type brand. And so we're not going to open a store in California because it's like relationships mean more in, Kansas City than they typically
people don't want to meet
like
each other. We shake hands, you know what I mean? And so those Midwest values I think matter. But to your point, I remember Health House,
it does seem like some place would work in California though. Kind of.
Yeah, totally.
Well,
totally.
So everyone thought,
you don't know until you try.
They were getting their hands in, trying to make the Peloton of rowing.
Yeah.
I remember that.
I actually forgot about that.
Yeah.
They totally were doing that.
Yeah. So it's just like they had so many irons in the fire and
too much going on.
Oh, so they had like product development happening too.
Yeah. They were trying to incorporate like a Peloton program
in home rowers and
the Michelin touch. That can bite
Midas touch.
Midas touch, I meant, sorry.
Yeah.
Michelin tire. Man.
Michelin tires. You know what I meant.
I don't know if it was that they were trying to grow too fast, because how long were they in Kansas City before they went to?
Like 6 or 7 years.
6 or 7 years. But I think it's like they should have just stayed in the Midwest.
Yeah.
Like I think the investors that they had were Hollywood, like LA people, West Hollywood people. Like, oh, bring it out to here. This is where it's at. This is the hub. And it's just like, if you could run the Midwest and don't have to go to these hubs, I mean,
if you want to do Hollywood cool, it's a passion project, but you got to have the foundation of 10 well-performing clubs to be able to lose money on that new endeavor for a while until you figure out what needs to be tweaked, right? Yeah. There had to have been some tweaks or changes along the way that would have made it more appealing to people that live out there. They didn't have the time to be able to do it. So you're devastated. This just happened.
A lot of fitness trends start on the coast and they migrate inwards. So it's like I can understand the thought process.
Because if you can survive out there where every other block there's a fitness studio, then you're going to be able to survive anywhere, but yeah.
That's the thought. So this happens, like you're devastated. What's the next step? I think
Anthony made moves.
Sweatworx is born.
Next day, literally Health House closed.
Health House closed on November 27th.
He knows the date.
And then we had our first class December 2nd.
For Sweatworx.
And so I think we had a couple weeks notice that Health House
2 weeks.
We had 2 weeks notice that Health House was going to be shutting down here in Kansas City. And so I was just like, man, like all these people are asking, like, where are we going to go? Where are we going to train? Like they want to follow us. And I was like, we can take what we've learned over this last year. And we were only at Health House for a year. Actually, my anniversary was the day it closed. And so we were there for a year. And so we took what we learned and what we gained and from those trainers and just the experience. And I was like, let's just try to find a place and see what happens. And so reached out to a couple people that I knew that were training at a private gym. And I was like, hey, like, where are you guys training? Is there room for us? Like, this is what I want to do. And met the owner there and like, yeah, go ahead and do it. And so we had classes December 2nd, and have grown since then, which is awesome, but just haven't really looked back. And that was December 2nd, 2020, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Because we were also still I was doing a lot of virtual workouts too, or living room workouts.
Kirsty Ray Fitness.
Yep. That's when that started. So we were like, okay, we need to try to find a spot so we're not in the living room of our aunt and uncle's home. Yeah. Because our apartment was too small for us to do workouts in.
The COVID times, man.
But just, you guys obviously like could have easily folded in right there, you know? And then at the space that you guys were at so long for Sweatworks, there was times where they were talking about selling that building, right? And you guys were like,
they did sell the building.
and then they were like, well, you know, what are you guys going to do? And you're like, well, how did you stick around?
Honestly, like we've been through a lot. Like we've been through a lot in that building. Grateful for it because it definitely built some character. Like there was times where it was like 50 degrees in the building and the heater didn't work. And sometimes when it rained, some water came through the ceiling and,
the parking lot was like always looking like trash.
the parking lot was, and so we've had to deal with a lot or it smelled. And
This would be fair for our listeners. This was a mixed use building that had a lot of other things going on.
Yeah.
And you guys had a small piece of that building, but it was massive.
Massive.
It's like a community center style building.
Yeah. And so when Drive 5 owned it, we had actually two spots, the upstairs location, which was about like 6,000 square feet, and then a downstairs location where all the group fitness would happen. And so that worked great. Like we were able to kind of keep things separate. Still a lot of stuff happened there. I mean, we had another space out by, was it Garmin? Mm-hmm. Garmin, that got bought out by Garmin, so we had to change.
Sportsplex?
Sportsplex. Yeah. And we had to go to the Drive 5 location, have all of our classes, and there was other group fitnesses that were in there, other trainers, and so it was like we were all compact. We had to like figure this out, and our clients were awesome through all of this. Through all of this, and then we finally worked it out and started, carrying on with our classes the way that we wanted to. Everything was great, and then Drive 5 sold the building to a church, and we're just like, what does this mean?
Uh-oh.
Like our music isn't for church, and so we went through that, and the church ended up taking that 6,000 square feet and pushing everybody down in the 2,700 square feet. And so it's been interesting. It's been an interesting ride to go through all of that. But like I said, like before we got on here was, we've had to go through a lot, built a lot of character. And if we wanted our own space 4 years ago, we weren't going to be ready for it.
Yeah.
I think it's also taught us how to pivot, and I think that's just what you need to learn as a business owner too, because especially in the fitness industry, trends and fads are always happening. Things are always changing. But it taught us how to pivot, and that's with like having kids, having to pivot, being parents. But just how to, honestly, it's build like resilience. And just really, how are we going to get through this? Okay, we don't have time really to think. We just got to do.
Mm-hmm. I think too, it's like, it goes to show that, it's not 100% about the space. It's about the relationships and the quality of like results that you guys are providing.
Exactly.
It sounds like when you guys left Health House, there was enough people that were kind of like, we're willing to follow you guys if it's in a parking lot somewhere, which is, that just goes to show how good of trainers you guys are. And,
but also right off the bat, didn't somebody else also try to like spin off another gym and also was recruiting the Health House members?
Yes.
Yeah. And so you guys were actually having to like compete with your own,
with our own. Yeah.
So, like that's all part of it, like that's all part of, that's the stuff that no one likes to talk about, but like, people are having to pick and choose and try not to take things personal. And there's drama and you have to look past all of that and recognize this. It is what it is, right? And so, you guys are now, building out this new space called the Alpha Collective Studio. What first question comes to mind is, you guys have spent a lot of time and energy building the Sweatworx brand. What made you want to switch when you guys decided to switch?
Well, we have a lot of different businesses going right now. We have my Kirsty Ray Fitness, we have Anthony Sports Performance, and we have Sweatworx. So we were like, we want to become one, and that's where the collective came from. And we liked collective.
Sounds classy.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It's like a bougie way to say
elevated.
Yes. A luxury way
elevated
to say
fitness experience.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It is to say like a group, a community. So we wanted to just rebrand because like Anthony mentioned, our vision for this studio is so different than it was with Sweatworx. It's a completely different brand. Yeah. Completely different.
It's going to be a different atmosphere. And that's one thing that we're really excited about is like when people walk through the door, like right now when they walk through the door, like we didn't have a vacuum. The vacuum got taken at some point, and we didn't have a vacuum. We have a vacuum now. I vacuum quite a bit, but people walk in the door and they're just like, I don't feel like doing burpees in this building, or I don't feel like,
getting
I don't feel
on the floor and doing abs.
Yeah, or mobility work
This
or
is
whatever.
the Drive
it is.
5 location.
Yeah. And
Where we're at right
it
now.
got dirty. And especially like in the winter, it gets real dirty in gyms when people just walk through and
Salt on everything and
yeah, and that's another thing. Like, so there's these this volleyball club, and we can't use the front entrance. That's for the church, and so everybody comes through our entrance. And so there was one morning this volleyball club was having like tryouts, and I'm telling you, there was at least
hundreds.
500 volleyball players there. And so I'm in the middle of class, and they're done with their tryouts, and they're just walking right in the middle of it.
Of our class.
And so like, as I'm teaching and instructing and helping people with their form and telling them what to do, I'm setting cones and
Like,
blocking off the doorway.
Get out of here.
Yeah. And like giving them a path.
Just wildly rude.
Yeah. And when they first walked in, nothing was going on. It was just a gym. And then now they walk out and they see people working out, but they have no idea it's a class. And so
Is it a little, that Drive 5 is huge. Is it a little weird that there's a church that had enough money to buy a Drive 5? That seems crazy. How many square foot is that?
Massive.
It's a lot. So there's 3 full basketball courts on one side, and then there's stadium seating in between, locker rooms, bathrooms, all that stuff. And then there's 3 full basketball courts on the other side.
Yeah.
And then there's front space, like it's huge. It is massive.
That's the place that taught me that we all did the wrong thing and we should have gotten into volleyball. Right? I mean,
right.
dude, I'd never seen so many people in one.
It's nuts.
It's wild. Like the volleyball scene in Overland Park, Kansas is like unlike anything I've ever seen.
It's getting more crazy.
I was about to say, and think about that, and I would guess that soccer and baseball are both bigger than volleyball.
Possibly, dude. I couldn't tell you, but I'm just saying when you put all these people under one roof because they all play indoors.
Yeah.
It's big. It's just unbelievable money.
I heard a stat today that a full-size soccer field that's indoor will go for $1,000 an hour for rented space. There's one being built in Lee Summit right now.
Yeah.
The guy that's building it told me that.
Yeah. So indoor space with turf and even volleyball courts or basketball. I don't know about basketball courts, but I can speak on volleyball and just turf in general.
Yeah.
Like there's not enough of them.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said
not
there's not enough, and so it's like a lot of people are fighting for those spaces, which is driving up the cost of renting them.
And there'll never be enough. Like everybody needs indoor. Like the winters get super cold here. The summers get really hot. You have maybe a few months out of the year that it actually feels good outside. And so like indoor space is crucial.
Yeah.
It's crucial.
Yeah, that's why they keep opening these home fields, right?
I live next to the Blue Hawk that's being built too, and that thing's
Have you been
monster. He was showing me pictures of it, which it looks massive.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how many soccer fields fit in this place, but it seems like a lot.
Yeah, it's huge. I can't wait to go look at it. I mean, they have an arcade in there.
Yeah.
It's like a Dave and Buster's with sports.
Right.
Yeah, they have a ice hockey.
those
I got a buddy who plays ice
Tournaments,
hockey
the
in there.
weekends, the whole family can be entertained while the kids are
Yeah.
playing. So
Yeah.
it like really took care of like all of, everybody in the family will have something to do during a game.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit more about Alpha Collective in the sense of, what amenities are you guys bringing to your guests that they wouldn't previously be getting with Sweatworx?
Yeah, I'll let you take over there.
So our philosophy on training has really grown throughout the years, and just with a huge health and wellness kick, especially the last, I would say like a year. I feel like a lot of new things are coming out with like recovery, mobility, supplements, vitamins, IV therapy, red light therapy, all the different things that are supposed to help with just your longevity and like vitality of life. So that's what we're wanting to bring to Alpha Collective. Is working out is such a small piece of the
Puzzle. Yeah.
a small piece of the puzzle. So we're like, what can we bring that's going to make this like a lifestyle? We want this to be a lifestyle thing, not just get in, get out, just like transformation, lose a bunch of weight, but get bored of it. We want this to be a thing where you're coming in and you're like, this is something that I can do for a long time because I'm feeling the benefits of it. So we're going to offer, obviously, our alpha classes, which our alpha classes are going to be the smaller group fitness. So that's 12 people. And we're doing that because we want to stick to our tried and true, our way of lifting, where we think you're going to start with a good long warm up, mobility work. We might do some breath work at the beginning of class, and then we'll go into like our major lift, whether that's squats or deadlifts or bench press, whatever it is that day. And then you'll go onto our hybrid side, and that's where you're going to do more of like the accessory lifts, like circuit type training. But we want to make sure that we're having that small group so that people can still do those main lifts to start.
Yeah.
And then we'll have the collective class, which is going to be more of the higher intensity, like boot camp style workouts, because there's a time and place for that, and it's fun. People like that. So we'll have that on Saturdays. And that's where the cool thing about our space is that if we want to make that thing vibey, we can make it vibey.
Yeah.
But if we want to make it a little more chill, then we can make it a little more chill. So on those like Saturdays and on that collective class, it's going to be more of like your high energy, more of that like Vegas style, if you will. And then we also will have mat Pilates as well, because we believe that recovery is extremely important. So we're going to have more of like mobility, breath work,
Mobility.
stretching. Yeah, mobility is very,
have it.
very
Gotta
important.
have it.
Very, very
This is
important.
Jeff's year for mobility.
Hey, same with Anthony.
Literally,
That's what
I
he
say
says.
year 2025.
Yeah.
Touching my toes this year.
You need to come in.
Yeah, dude.
So
Take some mobility classes, bro.
we'll have those classes, because a lot of times with group fitness, it's very like go, 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 come in. People are doing these crazy classes like 5 or 6 times a week, sometimes 7 times a week. So we want to do like built-in recovery days for people, because sometimes people won't take them.
Yeah.
So we're making you take them. And then we'll also have our cold plunge sauna for a little bit of contrast therapy if you want, for recovery, for just overall wellness. And then we're also going to be partnering with T-Lux, which is a brand here in downtown Kansas City, and they do IV therapy, and then they also do like acupuncture and healing stuff. So we'll have them in-house doing NAD+, which I'm really excited
Cool.
about.
Yeah.
And different custom IV drips, shots, vitamin shots, and then also 5-point acupuncture, which is really exciting.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
There's not another gym in Kansas City that offers these things, right?
No.
No. I mean, there's
The IV thing is, I can't think of any other gyms that offer that.
I think Foundation has that, like a separate business and revive.
Oh, yeah,
What's
yeah.
it called? Luke, you know it? What's it?
Prime
Recovery. Yeah.
Prime Recovery.
But it's like a separate entity
Yeah.
yeah.
completely.
Yeah. And so we're just like Kirsty said, like exercise is just one piece of the puzzle, nutrition, supplements, it's all one piece of the puzzle. And so we're just trying to grab all these pieces and bring it towards our clientele. And I'm super excited about it, because like the more that I'm learning, and like I said earlier, like you can go down the rabbit hole, right? And learning all this stuff and what they're doing with biohacking and longevity hacking. And I'm just getting really excited the more that I learn. And like, I know after we open and we have all these things going on, in the next 2 months, I'll probably feel the best that I've ever felt.
Yeah.
Like, no doubt.
Yeah, the research that's on sauna alone and longevity is insane.
Yeah.
So it's something that I would love to start doing more.
Have you
often.
heard of zombie cells? So zombie cells are dead brain cells that are they die off, but they never go away.
I probably have a lot of those.
I do too. I know for a fact I do. And so with infrared sauna, what it does is it heat shocks the proteins in your brain, and it kills off and gets away from those zombie cells.
Really?
And so it clears your mind. It gives you more energy. And so when I heard about those zombies, I was like, I've never heard of zombie cells. I think it's like senescent cells. I don't know the exact name for it, but I'm just excited for
Luke can look it
little
up.
things like
Look
that.
it up, Luke. Come on now.
Zombie cells.
Oh, dude.
Senescent cells.
I need to get rid of those. Alzheimer's,
Contribute
man,
to
runs in my
Alzheimer's.
family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
And so like just from, I've had quite a bit of concussions from like snowboarding. My first concussion was from baseball. actually. And I had, a couple with football. And so like, I really worry about my brain later on in life. And so things like this that I'm learning is exciting me, because I think everybody gets into fitness for the aesthetics at first, right? I want to look good, and then once you start your journey and you eat healthy and you do the exercise and you start feeling good and having more energy, and you're like, okay, I want more of this. I want to feel good. And so then it transitions from, yes, the aesthetics is a great bonus, but now like the feeling good, the energy, and you get into the wellness side. And I feel like that's where a lot of our clients are starting to go, is they love the workouts, they love the programming, but they're going to love the full package of the wellness of it too.
All the feel good aspects.
I think it's maturing through fitness. It's like, you go through the phase of like, I want to get lean, I want to have abs, but once you kind of, and for me, it was like having kids. It was all of a sudden like, oh, like I should be thinking about, how am I going to feel when I have grandkids? Am I going to like have energy? Yeah. Especially because, it's like, my mom just had a triple, bypass surgery 6 months ago. And I see her go through that and I'm like, oh man, that just like, that will knock you down for quite a bit of time. So it's like wanting to, have energy when that time of my life comes, which, if you guys read Peter Attia or listen to Peter Attia, he talks about that as being your health span. So you have your lifespan, which a lot of people, they live longer than we've ever lived before, even though that's kind of slightly declining. But then it's not just about how long you live, it's the quality of your life. And so he's like, you really want to get you basically want the last like 5 years of your life to suck, not the last like 20 years of your life to suck. Yeah. And a lot of that just goes back to, how you treat yourself. And he talks about, you got to start it at like 25, really we should be looking at like longevity practices and wellness practices, even, back to when you're 25. And when I was 25, I was just trying to see how much I could bench. So yeah, not a lot of 25-year-olds thinking like that, but I think that's kind of changing.
It is. I do. And I think it's really exciting. I think Kansas City is a little behind with all of this, like the wellness industry, and like that aspect of health and fitness. But I think people are craving it. Yeah. Like I know just talking to my clients, like people are like, I want a place where I can go where I have all of these different amenities. Like if I want just a recovery day, or if I want to sweat, or if I want to detoxify, I can get in the sauna and I know it's going to help with X, Y, and Z, you know? And people are craving it. So we're like, we want to start this wave in Kansas City where more businesses, where it's opening up people's mind and they're bringing more things like this, because they have them in LA, they have them in New York, and a little bit in Chicago, but there's nothing really like this in Kansas City. And I think we deserve it. There's the clientele for it. People want to be healthy here. Yeah. People want to live long quality lives. So we're hoping that we can just start something really special in Kansas City.
So let's talk about the build out of you guys' new space. So how many square foot is it?
I think it's around like 23,000 square feet.
We don't really know because we got some extra.
2,300 or 23,000?
Oh, 2,300. Sorry.
I was like 23,000 is a huge space.
It's because we looked at a space that big right next door to it. That's the goal, right? Yeah. It's
knocking down a wall one day.
Yes, it's literally right there. It's the next. It's like the same how you guys were saying the mall. Like right next door is like 22,000 square feet. So
that's
it's
cool.
Perfect.
You got plenty of room to grow.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, we got some. Yeah, that's the space right there.
My gosh, what a nice guy commenting on this page. 5 flame emojis. What a nice guy.
Oh yeah,
I like it for sure.
Yeah,
so that's only part of the space right there. That's actually where the exercise and the fitness and some of the magic will happen. And that video right there and what it looks like right now is
different.
Is completely different. Completely different. Kirsty's shown little bits and pieces like, hey, don't show it. I was like,
don't peek around the curtain too fast.
Yeah.
I was like, I wanted to fully transform and then boom. But it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome.
We're
when did you sign your lease, and when
when was that? That was 12 weeks ago.
12 weeks ago?
We signed it.
Okay. Like October 18th.
Yeah. It was in October when we signed it.
Very cool. And you guys are planning
Expected
to open
date,
February.
February? Okay.
Yeah.
February-ish.
February-ish. Yeah.
It really just depends on how fast they get done with the construction. I mean, that's all we're waiting on, right? That's all that anybody waits on is how fast can they get the construction done and how fast can they deliver the materials for the guys to. Yeah.
Will you guys be the only staff to start off there, or do you guys have some people that you're going to be hiring for this?
Yeah, we're looking. Oh, look at the marble. Look how beautiful it is.
Gorgeous.
Wow.
It is gorgeous. Yeah. We're going to start off just us. Hiring's a hard thing. It's a really hard thing.
We know.
Yeah,
Somehow
sure
we
you
ended
do.
up with Luke.
And I want some. I want some advice from you guys on hiring, because I feel like you guys create a really good team and your team has a really good atmosphere to it, and
they believe in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Start with core values and then just hire and fire by them. Like actually think about like who.
This is what we stand for.
Yeah, this is what we stand for, and build your interview questions around those specific core values. And for us, whenever we've tried to bend on those core values and be like, yeah, but we can teach them that, it always comes back to bite us in the ass. So I would say, come up with core values and then hire and fire by them. But also, just practically, when you find somebody who's good, find their circle of influence. I mean, you guys worked at Northwestern Mutual. You kind of understand, like, you find the people, you find the people that are around. But if you find a really good employee, it's like, they're not just like a good person that's on an island. Typically good people attract other good people. And so when we find good people, we try and like, hey, you have a friend, you have, a family member, yada, 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 and trying to find them that way.
Yeah.
That's great.
One thing that's hard though about the fitness industry is there's a lot of good trainers in Kansas City, but most of the really good trainers are already doing their own thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So the way that I'm thinking we're going to do it, and we talked about this, the way that we think that we'll do it is we'll hopefully be able to find people within our community already that believe it, that have seen it work, because one thing about the fitness industry is you can teach training. You can't teach energy. You can't teach passion. You just can't. So you have to find people that believe in it, that have the energy, that want to be there, that want to teach, that want to coach. And then we'll teach you how
the X's and O's.
The X's and O's, because that's the stuff that we all had to get certified. You know, that's the stuff that we all had to learn. And that can be taught, but it's the energy that can't. So hoping we can find some people, which we already kind of have some people that we're thinking of, but it will be us at first. Hopefully not for long, because it's been us for the last 5 years. Yeah. And that's very hard.
Yeah.
But
you know what else is hard though? You guys are going to find this out, is once you do hire somebody, trying to like let go of the reins and let them actually like kind of.
Oh, I bet.
Like we basically made our first employees all quit.
Yeah.
Well, they just, we just couldn't allow them to help the customer, because you're just watching it and like, the value of a customer, the value of one of your members. And, if they're giving an experience that isn't up to the levels of which the standards of which you guys have set, you're like, I know how valuable that member is. I can't let them go because I just wanted to watch somebody else do it once. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. So they have to learn through osmosis quite a bit in the beginning.
Yeah, that'll be hard for me for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. People ask us all the time, what was the most difficult thing we ever did? And I always tell them it's from going from 1 to 2. Mm. And it's when you would say you have 1 and like you've perfected it and you got everybody there and it's all good. But going to 2, just like they, happened with Health House, it's you can't be in 2 places at once. And so you have to really make sure that whoever's in charge really does care.
In 2017, after we'd basically been open for a year, me and Jeff went to a Chiefs game by ourselves, and we left our employees at the store by themselves for the first time ever. And it was so stressful, but we were like, dude, we got to rip the Band-Aid off. Yeah. We have to like go do something that is not
it's like
work.
leaving your kids for the first
time.
The closing numbers came through, and they didn't burn the place down, and the door was locked when they left, and like I'm like, hey dude,
we watched the cameras of every transaction.
Of course. Were you even watching the game?
We're like, dude, the money's gonna hit our account. It works.
Yeah.
Like, all right, we have a business. It's not just a job that we both are paying to do.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's got to be able to stand on its own, and so core values is the way that it can stand on its own, because everybody is honoring and loyal to those values versus it being helping you out and it being personal.
Yeah, the personal thing is great. It's like, hey, you can just point to the core values. this is, we live and die by these. If you don't, if you're not living up to them, then,
you
it's
fire
not
somebody,
personal.
it's not like, hey, it's because not because I don't like you. It's because like, we're selfless. And in this instance right here, you were being selfish.
Yeah.
I don't think you're a bad person. It's just like, we can't have it on our team,
So
lots more we can talk about on that.
That's very good.
Yeah, that's great advice.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But dude, so what is the equipment situation going on? Like that's like a fun thing to do, right? Picking it all out.
It is fun. It's expensive, but
Yeah.
it's really fun.
gym equipment is ridiculously
thing.
expensive.
It's disgusting.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
They mortgaged it out to you like a house. Like
Yeah.
pay us back in 30 years.
Yeah. I'm the aesthetic girl. He's the equipment guy. So
Yeah. So I'm taking a little bit of, like I said, like our philosophies have like changed and grown over the year. And so Sweatworx started off with a ton of rowers. We did a lot of rowing. And what's going to be interesting about what we've changed and where we're going to now with Alpha is there's not going to be any rowers. And so we'll still have the rigs, the double-sided rigs, the barbells, the dumbbells, the benches, but some things that we're adding. We'll also have the air bikes. But a couple things that we're adding is like the ski ergs. Those are fun. Yeah, those are fun.
Mm-hmm.
I like skiers.
Yeah.
Killer.
It's different. And I wanted variety between the bike and the rower and running and the ski erg is a great contrast to that. And then we're going to have curved treads. But our curved treads you'll be able to turn a knob and add more resistance. So not only will you be able to run on a curved tread, but you also imitate a sled push as well.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we'll have all that in there, and our programming will be similar to what we're doing now. But it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be awesome.
How are you gonna? So here's my question: once we get Alpha Collective open, right? What is going to happen to these other businesses that you guys spend a lot of time? Not to name drop, but Kirsty, you are training the most famous woman, I feel like, in Kansas City. Are you ever going to be able to just be like, hey, sorry, can't train you anymore?
No, this has been a hard thing because I love all my clients so much. So everybody's asking me that. They're like, are you gonna still train me? Like, are you gonna be able to train me whenever Alpha opens up? And yes, I will make time for my people. I'm also hoping that people want to come to this space. I hope it's a safe space for them. We are kind of tucked behind like some businesses. And it is a private gym. Not just anyone can walk in, right? You're gonna have a key fob and stuff. So you have to be a member. And our price also reflects that too. But I'm hoping that these people also want to come to the gym, but I stay very loyal to my clients. So I'm not just going to drop my people. They're my people. I love them. I care about them, and I won't drop them. No.
I totally get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll make it work somehow.
Yeah.
Right. That's awesome.
It is cool too that it's going to feel exclusive and safe, for somebody to come in that, might not want to go to a Lifetime or,
they can't go out in public and it not be a deal.
Yeah.
That's bottom line. Like they can't
Right.
go to like Hy-Vee and not get tackled basically.
Yeah, it's been like that ever since we started Protein Bros. I definitely understand exactly. The public will not leave us alone.
You try my protein snack? I'm like, no, dude.
Listen, no.
I'm having lunch.
Of course I've had it. Yeah.
Rate it.
Yeah.
Funny.
Hey, we absolutely love you guys. We're so excited for you. Can't wait to see what this place looks like.
Wait. You guys are doing, when you guys are going to open up, you guys are going to run a special, correct?
Yeah.
Can you guys explain that to us?
Yeah. We will have our founders rates. We haven't dropped our prices yet. They will be dropping very soon. We're still working a little bit on our POS system, which has been an issue.
It will be advantageous to be a part of that founders.
Yes,
special.
but you can get on, if you go to alphacollective.co, you can get on our email list, which we have about 400 people on there right now. So these people are just waiting for the pricing to drop. But if you are on that email list, you'll be the first to know the pricing. So for the founders rate, it's going to be X amount of people are going to be able to get this rate. Cool. So it's like an act fast thing. When it's gone, it's gone. And we have a ton of existing clients, so they're going to act fast on that too.
Yeah, they're just going to go and sign up automatically.
Yeah. So that will be dropped in the next week or two, the pricing and the founders rate, and we're so excited.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I appreciate you guys coming today. You guys,
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
We have one question we got to ask everybody though, and that is,
I didn't know if you were going to make it to that last question, the way that you were just bent over like that.
Yeah, dude, I had to tell myself not to throw up there. What is
Your favorite food that you've never gotten food poisoning from?
Yeah. So Kansas City is obviously well known for its barbecue. We didn't even get a chance to even get into just how much of a freaking stud Anthony was in college.
Yeah, that is true.
You win a national championship?
Next time.
Yeah,
we'll talk about it next time.
Post once you guys open it up and everything, we can talk about how it's going. Anyways, best barbecue in Kansas City. You get one spot. You get to choose one place. Where do you go?
Easy.
All right.
Q39.
Yeah.
The wings.
Dude, best damn wings on the planet.
Yeah,
Literally, that's what they're
good.
called. They're so good.
Yeah. They are so good.
And they are the best damn wings on the planet.
They are very good.
And to be fair, like they're unique, right? They're different. You don't have wings like that anywhere else. So it's like we have other wings that we love, but like those are just.
We got to get those tonight.
Get them every time.
Yeah.
For me, it's between 3: Q39, Okie Joe's. I'll forever call it Okie Joe's. And then Jack Stack. I got a soft spot for Jack Stack because of their cheesy corn and baked beans.
Absolutely.
Like
speaking this guy's language.
We're talking about the wings though. Fire kissed wings at Jack Stack are awesome.
Yeah. They're good. So I would have to probably say Jack Stack is my go-to, just because
Jack Stack's also got the best vibe in Kansas City as far as like a place to go eat.
Yeah.
The Q39 is pretty good too, but Jack Stack's like the
Do you guys still do jalapenos every Friday?
Not as much anymore.
I figured with the kids, I was like, but I thought, you know what? Let's bring them the jalapeno chips.
Going out to eat when you have kids, it just becomes not fun at all. It is a chore and it's not like enjoyable. You're like, I'm gonna go pay money to be completely annoyed with my kids.
It's not worth it. I'm always like, why? We look at each other like, why are we doing this right now?
My kids don't eat anything either. They order something and then they just won't eat it. And
we bring snacks for them to eat because we know they're gonna eat those, and then like we get to that point, like, all right, it's time to go. Check, please, and like, hey, take them to the car. I'll pay for it.
Always.
We're out quick.
And it's such a mess. I feel terrible because they're so young. That they're just throwing food everywhere. But
leave a little extra.
Dear God, if you go someplace that doesn't have crayons either, you're just screwed. You're just like, oh no, what are we gonna do?
The iPad.
Yep.
Yes.
All right, guys, we appreciate you, and we're excited to see what Alpha Collective does, and we'll have you on here again soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Cool.